Hey boys and girls, welcome to Munro Live. I'm here with Michael Hughes and we're here at ChargePoint. Now, I've been very critical of charging systems, but I'm told that I'm going to see much more than I ever wanted to know about. So Michael's going to really help us out here by giving us a little bit of a background on how ChargePoint works and how they've been successful. And quite frankly, you guys are quite big. Comparatively speaking, without having Volkswagen give you a chunk of change.
That's right.
So that's
organically
great news.
grown.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, can you give us a little background on your job here at ChargePoint?
So hi everybody, Michael Hughes, Chief Commercial and Revenue Officer at ChargePoint. Thanks for having me. Thanks for coming out. We appreciate having you here. So welcome to Silicon Valley and hopefully what we think of as the birthplace of charging. Right? We've been around for 15 years. Building out charging networks, and at the fundamental premise of what we do is we knew when electric vehicles started coming about, people would need to have a network, right? You go from your home to your office, to the stadium, around town, on a long vacation. You need a common way to find, pay for, and authorize or have access control to charging. So we built a network in order to enable that. And so what you'll see today, you'll get a good glimpse of all the hardware, the software, how it's connected, all of those kinds of things. But the ChargePoint business model, well, our ambition is really to move all goods and people on electrons. And so that's a pretty broad, ambitious set of ideas. But that basically means passenger cars, anything that's moving goods or people, so buses, trucks, all of the above. And in order to do that, we have charging of all different types, from home charging to workplace charging, around town charging, fast charging at a convenience store, fast charging between long destinations. So you'll see all of that today and you get a sense for what that's about. But it's important to understand who we are. We're a tech company. We make the best software and hardware in order to enable drivers, fleet drivers, individual drivers, to have a good experience on that journey. We don't make money from the drivers. We sell tech, hardware and software, and the services that surround it to companies who use it for their business. So we're not putting iron in the ground and then trying to tax the electrons being delivered to the vehicle. We're not in that business. We're in the business of providing that tech to a company. Could be a fuel and convenience location. Could be a workplace trying to serve employees. Could be a shopping center trying to make sure that people stay for 45 minutes and buy goods in the location. So everything we do is around enabling their business, not around building charging stations and then making money on the electrons. So does that make sense?
Yeah, you're selling cows instead of milking them. Basically, that's the way it sounds to me. And I'm pretty certain that I'm going to know the answer. But how do I find a charge point? I don't want Electrify America. I don't want a lot of I'm not going to go into all of them, but I don't want that. Suppose I just want to find yours, and that's it. I don't want to have any other charger in my life. How would I do that?
Right. Yeah, I think there's you know this better than anybody, but the journey for an electric vehicle driver is different than the journey for a gas driver. In the gas world, you drive along on I-75 and then you drive by and you see a sign that says Shell oil, Shell, and you say, all right, I can get gas here. The search engine is our eyes. With an electric vehicle, the search engine is our phones.
Exactly.
Or the dash in the vehicle.
Which is even
better. So in effect, begin the journey starting with, all right, great, I'm going to Traverse City. Where can I stop along the way? In our app, or in anyone's app, you'll be able to see, and kind of what we represent up here may not be obvious to everybody, but we'll support access to any charging network, right? So with the exception of Electrify America, everybody roams. So from our app or their app, you'll see all the charging stations, because most times people are not as finicky as you and they say, great, I'll take a charging station, I need to find one. You can, however, through our app, I know for sure, filter. I only want to see ChargePoint. I only want to see DC fast above a certain kilowatt. So you can make that set of choices directly in the app, and then it'll direct you to the chargers that fit the profile you put in. So that is possible, and I will do that on my trips, not because I want to go to ChargePoint chargers. I do generally, but I generally am looking for the speed of the charge,
Yeah.
what surrounds that location. Can I get a coffee? Can I go get a sandwich? Can I walk the dog? All that stuff. Yeah. So you can filter on any number of criteria, but including show me all the charge point, show me all the 50 kilowatt and above, whatever the case might be.
That's basically what I would want to see. And like I say, to me anyway, starting a trip from here to wherever, like say for instance, we went from Detroit to LA to San Diego up to Eugene, Oregon, and across the country on a Dias down to Brownsville and then back up to Detroit. Every time we needed to charge, we knew where it was, how much, if there was fast charging and all the other stuff that goes along with it. And so consequently, the trip was easy peasy. 8,500 miles in 11 days. I mean, it was like a piece of cake. Yeah. So that's kind of what I think Tesla does really well. And I'm just wondering if you're going to be able to give me the same sort of feeling of confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that comes down to a few different things. Can you see, find, and know what you're going to be charged for the charger? Yeah. So all of that is available in the app. All of that you can see. Great. Because I think that people want to know before they get there, is somebody going to gouge me when I get there? And again, we're selling it to a site host. They're setting the price. Right. Yes. So they may set it low because they're trying to sell cheesecake or hamburgers or coffee or whatever. Yeah. And we think that's probably where the market ends up, where it's the amenities that surround it that pay for the functionality and the capability, and then you integrate it with your loyalty program from whatever retail or grocery store, whatever it might be. So we think that's where it goes. I will say, getting that very consistent experience, all of that, it's different. Tesla's had an advantage. It's all their own vehicles, only access to their own chargers. Yeah. It's a closed system. It's great, and we appreciate that. It's far more complex when you don't know what vehicle is going to pull up. The handshake between the vehicle and the charger has to work seamlessly, so there has to be a lot of advanced testing. You're going to see the Interop testing lab we have here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. We don't like cars hitting the road that haven't been tested. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And software versions change all the time. Yeah. So it is far more complex than Tesla's set of variables that they've got, but we will get there. The chargers today are capable of charging all vehicles. You'll see today adapters, whatever the capability are. We believe parking spots should be dedicated to charging, not to a certain vehicle type, and put the onus on the site host to choose how many Teslas they're going to get versus how many something else. We don't think that's the right answer. But a seamless journey is possible, and you will see, and you can see today in the app, green says it's up and running and available. Gray says there might be something wrong with it. Another color indicates that somebody's charging there. Yeah. So you can plan your journey pretty well. We have work to do, as does the industry, to make it as good as the Tesla network and as available and consistent. And we're working on those things. I think it's, as I said a minute ago, the site host has to be engaged in that process to make sure we can deliver against it. Right. Right. And so that's the piece of the puzzle that we're working through. That's why I like the gas station business model. Yeah.
And it may not be a gas station. It could be a grocery store. It could be a liquor store. I mean, probably one of the favored gas stations that we've got in our neighborhood, right around where we are in Auburn Hills, has a liquor store. Yeah. Do they charge more for the gas? No, it's about the same or maybe even less, but now I can stop and I can get stuff. So it's not just liquor, obviously. They've got all kinds of things, but it's handy because if you're going to buy wine or something, then I can stop there and they got a good selection. Yep. It takes me 15 minutes to look around, and guess what? By the time I'm done, I could be charged and on my way. So that's the guy that I'm hoping is going to be buying some of your units. Yep. And making it so that I can drive the Rivian from here to Timbuktu if I want to.
And I think that's the challenge for the retailers fueling convenience out there. You're going from a 4-minute stop to a 20-ish minute stop. Yeah. What you do in 4 minutes is different than what you do in 20 minutes. In 4 minutes, I can go grab a Coke, some beef jerky, get out of there. Yeah. In 20 minutes, I probably want to grab a sandwich. I might want to stretch my legs. Might want to use the Wi-Fi.
Right.
I might want to,
Right.
you know, grab a meal, whatever the case might be. So I think there's a challenge for 30-minute retail, we call it.
Yeah.
To find the, you know, some of the facilities will work, some of them won't. Locations change a little bit, right? Around my house, I'm not so far from my house. I don't need charging around here. I'm a couple miles away.
Right.
I need charging when I go to Tahoe. I need charging when I go to LA.
And that's the thing. So when you go on the long trip,
Yep.
you have to stop. You go 200, 250 miles and you know what? Nature calls and you get hungry.
Right.
And you gotta stretch your legs. I mean, even with full self-driving, my legs are starting to cramp up. I got to do something. So this is where I think that the gas station approach or whatever, it's owned by somebody else. They take care of it. They can charge whatever they want. But I'm telling you right now, I just found out what it's like for charging here in California per kilowatt hour. Holy mackerel! I about paid. I mean, it's huge.
Yes.
Whereas in Michigan, it's cheap. I
Yeah.
mean, really, really cheap, and by comparison.
This is the funny thing. So I mean, we can have this debate. It's not important relative to this, but folks are coming out with 700-mile vehicles.
Yeah.
Who can sit in their car for 700 miles?
Nobody.
Nobody.
This is just this was a marketing thing.
Yeah.
The invention of range anxiety and whatnot, that came from companies that didn't have anything to offer, so they were going to scare the daylights out of you.
Correct.
But there is no there's no gasoline car out there, you know, conventional, that goes 700 miles, period. It just doesn't happen. So at the end of the day, all these yak kind of stories and whatnot, it's all baloney.
Range anxiety was invented by somebody who's never driven electric. I have zero range anxiety, 362 days a year. Yeah. A couple days a year I go, all right, I'm going here, I'm going there. And for those days, you can manage it and you plan your journey.
Exactly, and that's what it is. Most people aren't driving 700 miles or 1,000 miles, or in our case, 8,500 miles every day.
Yeah.
And so for that, I mean, I charge at home. We have chargers at work, and so I never really have a problem. So anyway, we're standing in front of this amazing
great
thing
mural
here. So why don't you give us a little background on what's going on?
Yeah, so a little bit about ChargePoint. We're about 1,500, 1,800 employees. We're at headquarters here. There's probably 600 or 500 employees here. Engineering here, India, in the UK, in Austria, in Amsterdam, and effectively, and then sales in North America and Europe. So 2 markets we spend time in. The company does a lot of things. Again, we want to move all goods and people on electrons. With that in mind, we have to go build the business. When we started, business didn't really exist. So we built out things that people don't think about, like a policy team. Policy team goes and enables things like the infrastructure bill. So we helped write the original versions of that. When we started, you couldn't charge money for providing charging in every state in the union because that was the utilities job. And so we went and changed those laws by state. So we've got a significant policy team to enable this evolution to electrons as fuel. So we do a lot of leadership there. The utilities are our friends, right? So we will enable utility programs around the United States, and they put in programs, get approved by the regulator, and then they run that program. We help them sell that program out, put in workplace charging, highway fast charging, all of those things. So utilities are a great partner and an important partner in building this out. Probably the biggest area we'll talk about in a few years is fleets. And this is everything from a bus fleet to a logistics fleet to the plumber that comes to the house, Uber, Lyft, Avis, Sixt. So fleets will be a huge piece. It's been vehicle limited for the last whatever number of years. That's changing, certainly in light duty, and it'll change across other markets. So fleets are a big piece of the puzzle.
Oh, actually, one of the things that we right in back of you is a TV set showing Frito-Lay.
Yeah.
I have no idea how many of those trucks are sitting there that are being charged, but at the end of the day, it's a great visual for sure.
Yeah, and so depot charging is going to be really important for fleets. And then there's also a need for en-route charging, right, as they're going on a long-distance trip. And then it's a shocking number of fleets that have vehicles that charge at home. So they come in, and it's a light-duty fleet, and they've got to charge at home too. Like 30 to 40% of fleet drivers end up spending time at home. So they need a home charger that allows them to charge and then charge it back to the company because they don't want to pay the fees. They're doing their job. Yeah. So fleet, home, and commercial are the three markets that we talk about over here, and that's really the markets we go after. And it's shocking how often they come together: fleet, home, and then en route charging and all of that kind of thing. So just a couple other notes over here, and I won't bore you guys with it, but we talked about the charging networks, right? So we're going to be democratic and enable charging across all networks. From the ChargePoint app, you need to find a charger. We're going to give you access to that charger. We give you as much data as you can about it. Our requirements in doing so is the peer has to not have an upgraded fee. There can't be some fee for charging, for passing between networks, and they have to be secure. And as long as those things are true, and they'll provide the information, here's the price point, here's the location, all that stuff, we'll roam with them and then share that. The automakers are also a partner for us. Many of the vehicles, including the Rivian you drive, leverage a ChargePoint infrastructure through the dash that allows you to, from your dash, find the chargers that you need, have access to them, know all the price points, all of that kind of thing. So we work with the automakers to enable a better journey for drivers, and that takes a lot of forms. And as they build out, their plants and their infrastructure and their dealers and all that, we'll work with them to go figure that out. I'll just make this comment. We don't make any money from drivers, and I don't know that that's obvious. So we provide an app, we enable that journey, we make it as easy as possible. The notion is not to make any money from the driver. That app is free. There's no surcharge for providing access. There's nothing there. Our notion is simple. More drivers have a great experience, the better chance electrification has of happening. So if we don't make it easy, my mom won't buy an electric vehicle when it's hard. So to your point, it's still a little hard. We spend a lot of time, energy, and resource making it easy without making money on those drivers. Our notion is to drive compression in the network so there's more charges that need to get out there.
Cool.
Again, we're fully focused on the business. So you will see today some of the chargers are branded for the business that they're in. We've got home chargers branded for Volvo, right? We've got fast chargers that will be branded for the come and go where they might live or wherever it might be. A variety of venues, coliseums and stadiums and so forth will brand them for the sports team that plays there. So the notion is it's not our charger, it's your charger,
right?
And you should take care of it and think about it and service your customers.
It's got your name on it.
It's got your name on it. That changes things. So this is kind of the business we're in. Again, we got a lot of work to do. It's early days still, but it's probably a 30-year run that we're on, and I think we've spent the last 15 years building the core engineering capabilities from a hardware side, which we'll spend a lot of time on today, but then the network that underlies that from a software side, and then allows that to be managed. That's where we've spent a lot of time as well. That's not quite as obvious to everybody.
Well, it sounds really good. I think we're going to be going to have a look.
Yeah, talk to some smarter people than me. Get under the covers.
Well, get under the covers. You're in charge of finance. That's smart enough as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, so let's see what's next on the agenda. Okay, so I'm here with Hossein, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what they're doing here at ChargePoint as far as the actual units themselves. And I had to start here because Tesla, they've already got the charging systems ready to rock. They're doing it right now. And Hossein, first off, why don't you give us a little background on you, and then I'm going to dive right into that.
Sure. So yeah, my name is Hossein Kazemi. I run hardware engineering for ChargePoint. Here we have a variety of chargers that you can see. Even on the other side, we have up to 40 ports here that charge AC and DC chargers and DC fast chargers. We're going to see kind of in sequence. Mm-hmm. From the left-hand side, we have our these are actually the new generation of our AC chargers. They go up to 80 amp, two ports. On both sides, you can charge simultaneously up to 80 amps. You can see we have multiple Teslas charging here, which some of them are capable of going to 80 amp AC. Actually, we have on some of our stations, we have the NACS cable installed already charging the Teslas. And that is, there's no conversion in between. It's just actually a NACS cable.
So this cable here is quite big in diameter. So I'm assuming this is air-cooled, not water-cooled?
Yes, that's a 250 amp cable, air-cooled.
So the one thing that I really like about this is the fact that you've already set it up for a Tesla charging system. So now somebody who would get one of these could conceivably charge Teslas, and because now this is becoming the standard in North America, I don't know. We had a little blurb about the Society of Automotive Engineers finally ditching their cable or their connector, and now you've even got a Tesla name on it. I'm really impressed. I really like the idea. You got big points just for doing that. I don't know if you planned that or something, but
no.
To me, I really like this idea, and coming along with this just makes it even easier for people, because now I've got both ChargePoint and Tesla charging stations if I've got a Tesla, and if I've got my Rivian, I can make that work as well. So, I'm really happy. This is very good.
This unit actually is our commercial DC charger. It goes up to the new generation of it. We can do up to 160 kilowatt with two of them paired together. 160 kilowatt, 4 cables, and you can select actually the cables between CHAdeMO, CCS, and NACS. You can actually select on which side, and it's configurable. You can even start somewhere and change it later in the field. It's upgradable. It's very modular.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so this has built-in power electronics into it. It has 2 modules on each one.
Yeah.
Each module is 40 kilowatt. It's the same module we use even for fast chargers. With the built-in cooling system, all liquid cooled. And you can look at it inside. Actually, you will see more cable management. You can go higher cable management, shorter cable management. Actually, you have to activate.
Yeah, I see.
And then this has on light.
I see. Okay. I just wanted to feel the weight, because one of the problems that my wife's got is when they get, this is plenty heavy. When they get too heavy, my little my little wife will take her 100-pound body to try and pick one of these things up, and that's when things start to go sideways. So, this is fairly heavy.
Yeah, this unit will go, cables will go up to 250 amp on this kind of product.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, there's a link underground on the DC side, so they can share modules. Yeah. So you can transfer power from this unit to the other unit and charge vehicles on that side, if there's no vehicle here, obviously. So there's 4 modules, 2 on each one, and you know the system knows how to manage that depending on the power that the vehicles are asking.
That's excellent news, because one of the things that anybody that's charged knows that if you're the first guy in line, this guy over here is not getting as much water as the guy over there. Yes. So having it so that they'll distribute better is a good idea, a really good idea.
Yeah, so you can see these are the more workplace chargers.
Yeah, right.
We have a lot of them on the other side. You can see the wall mount version of it. So we have different configuration of it on the other side. Yeah. The wall mount, and then there's taller cable management system, shorter cable management system. It's very modular. I'll show you inside more about how it's modular. The controllers are the same. So we have one controller on all of our chargers, DC and AC.
Yeah.
So the same software boots up on all of them, and it recognizes what system is it running at and sets the system up for it. So
well, that's excellent news.
We release one software. We work on one software. We don't have multiple different, softwares running around.
Great.
Much easier to manage.
Yeah. So we've got the big one over here.
This is actually the same pedigree as what we saw. It's that's a new generation of this dispenser. This is what we have. A lot of these are installed in the market right now.
I see.
And so that's an upgrade to this. This is up to 62.5 kilowatt. You can go to 125 kilowatt paired. that goes
see.
to 160 kilowatt paired.
Oh, excellent. So you've
Yeah, and
got
you
quite
can-
an assortment here, actually, from house to factory to these giant ones here for fast charging.
Actually-
How long would it take with one of your new ones to say, I don't want to say fully charge a Tesla, but like get it to 80%. I never fully charge unless I'm going on some kind of long trip.
So it depends. I mean, our faster chargers are actually around the corner.
Oh,
we can
let's
go
go
up
and
to
have a look.
500 amps. So these are
500 amps.
yes, the 500 amp chargers. These are 250 amp max. So
Yeah.
the cable is the limitation, right? So that's
Right. Yeah.
that's where the limitation comes from. So here, these are actually I would say medium range power. Our power chargers, which we use for fleet application, and also corridor chargers, are here. We can go around
Yeah,
and
okay.
come around the other way.
Well, yeah. Okay.
So we are installing a pantograph. This is a construction. You're going to see a bus charger with a long arm
Oh, yeah.
to
Going
charge
robotic, are
buses. Yeah, it's pretty much robotics. It comes down to the bus.
Yeah. Yeah.
The power delivery system is the same, and our dispensers are the same, and I'll explain that. But it's just the final. It's not a cable, obviously. It's arms coming down, touching the
Yeah.
positive and negative on top of the bus, and charging the bus.
So I see you've got a Rivian S here,
Yes.
and a Kia.
We have is that a Lightning? Yes, a Lightning, a Kia.
Wow, like we got one of those for the factory, and we got one of these for, well, not that one. We have a pickup truck. My wife and I drove this. They drive really nice. The problem is that once you get the pickup truck, it's very difficult to go somewhere else. But this is the workhorse of Munro Associates. I mean, I've been driving around in pickups for my whole life, at farms and factories and whatnot. I absolutely love this truck. I can't believe how much better this is than any pickup ever. I mean, ever.
Yeah.
This isn't just an electric vehicle. This is the
More than that.
workhorse. This is fabulous. I love these things. Anyway, let's go to this.
So you can.
Not
This is our
available for
fastest
public
charger.
use.
So the power was integrated in the product that we saw there inside
Yes,
the
yeah,
dispenser itself. Here we have decoupled the power delivery system from the dispenser, and it's because we want to build in the liquid cooling system for 500 amp, which I'm going to
Yeah,
explain
right.
to you. So these two units are pretty much the same dispensers. That one has a backpack. You see, it has a little bit extended back. That has all the liquid cooling system built in for 500 amp. Those cables actually, you can pick it up to see how does it feel. This is a 350 amp cable, and that's obviously the ChargePoint cable.
Yeah. Let me just try this one here now that
You can just push that button. Yeah. So that's a 350 amp cable.
350 amps. Why does this feel somehow
air-cooled.
lighter than the other?
It's our design, so you can see we have designed it ourselves with our partners. So our cables are usually better material in the jacket, much
Yeah.
lighter, and you can see all the molding. This is what we do.
Well, yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yes,
Let me try this one here.
that's the ChargePoint, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the same thing, right? The dispenser, this is actually doesn't have any active cooling. It just has a circulating air inside to
Yeah,
cool
yeah.
it down.
Yeah.
It's dry cables only. The cable management system can go up, down. You can decide what height do you want, depending on the application. The cables are completely modular, so you can decide which side, what kind of cable. And we are going to definitely have NAX cable on this one too. So you can choose, these are modular holsters, you can change them. Just this piece comes out and then you put a brand new one. And I will show you the inside, how the cable attaches. It's completely modular.
Yeah. Cool.
The brains of the operation for the cable and communication to the vehicle is built into the cable itself. So
Built into the cable itself, really?
Yeah, so our controller doesn't care what cable is connected, because the controller talks the language that our main controller wants to see. So
Okay.
I'll show it to you. We call it a smart cable. It's a smart cable, so we can just simply change the cable, and the operation is very seamless and easy to kind
So
of.
what are you measuring? The resistance in the cable or something?
So-
how do you do that?
It's all the protocol, right? Everything is built into a chip that sits with,
Oh, so
resides
there's
with the
a chip
cable.
inside. Oh, I see.
It's actually here. I'll show it to you inside.
Oh, okay, great.
It comes with the cable. So that dispenser, dry cable, you can see it doesn't have the back section.
Yeah.
But if you look at the other one, that is right now charging simultaneously up to 500 amp on each side. So total of 1,000 amp.
1,000
4
amps. Hence the background noise.
Yes.
That's a lot of juice.
That's a lot of juice. So you can see simultaneous charging here. This is for the design for corridors and high power fleet chargers. The power blocks at the back, each one of them is 200 kilowatts. So you can put them in series or in parallel to make more power, up to megawatts. So depending on how much power you can push to the vehicle. So each one of these can process up to 1 megawatt, obviously 500 kilowatt on each side,
Yeah.
up to 1,000 volts.
Wow. Wow, that's moving right along.
And you can see the construction there. You can see the gantry mount
Yeah.
of the same product, same dispenser. They can mount it on the gantry or the wall mount for the fleet application. And we're going to have soon a gantry, as I mentioned, to charge buses with the arms coming down
Right,
to
yeah,
the bus.
yeah. Oh, this is very, very interesting. I'm becoming more of a fan. So that's good.
Yes. Very
So
good. Let's go to the lab.
Okay.
Very good. So here's obviously one of our buildings. We are going to go to one of our interoperability labs.
Okay.
This is where we bring vehicles to do interoperability testing. We do actually the software quality kind of checks here too before we release it into the market, into the dispensers.
So when somebody brings a new product into the marketplace,
Right.
do they send you the software that they want you to interface with, or is
Yes.
it kind of like a guessing game?
No. We actually work with the OEMs. We have very good, close relationships with them. Usually we see cars much earlier than they are released into the market. So
Yeah.
we do interoperability tests. So you can see, the vehicles here. We have actually multiple vehicles.
I got a
We have
Mercedes.
multiple setups here for. This is where we do a lot of test QA. We have quarterly release cadence right now for our software. Every software that we have gets OTA to all the units.
Really?
Yeah, and then so we have a quarterly cadence, do a lot of quality checks here before we release it into the market. And yeah, so we have about 4,000 amp coming into this facility. We can do pretty much high power developments for
your own power station.
yes, pretty much a power station.
So, do you have problems with just accessing enough energy to function with 4,000 amps? That's usually a pretty big draw.
It is a very big draw, but the good news is we circulate power for development, so we don't necessarily charge cars all the time. So that's where you actually dissipate all the power. But for our setups, we have active bidirectional loads that kind of circulate the power. So only the losses come from the grid.
I see.
We run actually megawatts of power at a time, but only 100, 200 kilowatt of losses comes from the grid. So that's how we manage that. And then obviously we have to do vehicle testing. So that's when we put that power, up, I think megawatt and a half at a time, testing vehicles. We bring various different fleet vehicles, trucks and buses here to do interoperability testing.
So we've heard lots of stories. I don't want to get into, I don't know how to do this without mentioning at least one car company. How do you interface with say the ID4, because they don't do OTA on those vehicles? So how do you, if you've got upgrades in your charging system, how does that new information relate to, that's a Mercedes obviously, but how would it relate to one of the companies that doesn't have
OTA.
over the air?
Yeah. So the work that we do, all the changes will apply to our software. We do not change the vehicle software. That is, their engineers need to do that. So when the vehicle comes here, we check interoperability, we look at all the signals, make sure the timings are good. So we typically work with their engineers at a time if there's a problem. And they will, it's their responsibility to kind of make the changes and release the code to their vehicles. Like in this case, but with this Mercedes right now, we are doing app integration. So we are working on app integration with them where if you search an address that you want to go, all of our chargers will pop up. You know, it actually does the routing and planning, and it shows all of our chargers on that. So that's the kind of integration we are doing.
Well, that's what I was just asking Michael about, because if these work as well as you say, I'm not really interested in doing anything but either going to a Tesla charger or maybe yours, if I know where they are and I can make it to wherever it is that they're available.
So, and that's what we are doing right now. We are partnering with the OEM manufacturers so that it is built into their navigation mapping, so you can see our chargers.
So you mentioned Mercedes. Who else is there? That's like, is Rivian part of the?
I don't know exactly the names. Even if I would, I don't know if I could like name them right now one by one, because some of them, you know, obviously, you know, even I don't know. So there is multiple. I would say a dozen. So we are working with them to integrate our chargers in there. So we're going to have more and more DC fast chargers installed in the next 6 months to a year. There's going to be a lot of fast chargers coming online. Obviously, you saw we have Mercedes is installing our units in their charging facility, corridors on the highways. So we're going to start there and then expand it to more and more charging stations. But yeah, so here, when it comes to interaction between the vehicles, the vehicle manufacturer will have to do the changes. We do work with them. If there's a necessity to change on our side, we do. But if they have a change, they have to release it to their vehicles.
Excellent.
So either OTA or you have to go to the dealership.
That's what they're doing. With VW.
You want to see a little bit of guts of the operation.
Let's have a peek.
You can see that is our power module here. That's a power module that goes inside all of our high power and even the medium power, the DC commercial chargers. It's the same power module. We have spent a lot of energy and research to come up with a product that is reliable, that runs. It's modular. There's no need, you don't even need a tool to take this.
Right, I know. I was just looking at those connectors. That's very high connection. Those are high contactors. And so, and then you've got communication,
DC, AC, and liquids connections, quick disconnect. So you pretty much push this in, it makes the connection. And then if you want to change it, there's two release points at the unit. You release those and then pull this out. That's a guide.
Yeah, that's the guide.
To make sure that everything is in place. Yeah, we have had a very good experience with this for the last 5-6 years. It takes less than 20 minutes to change these in the field, which is it's a key to kind of make sure there's
I'm a big fan of plug and play, so this is good. And I think that's one of the problems that some of the, like I've seen the insides of quite a number of these things, and that's one of the things that seems to fail on a regular basis. I have no clue why, but I do know that they fail quite often. And some of your other competitors, getting their boxes out is a nightmare. This looks like a piece of cake. Like I say, I like plug and play. And
that's what we have designed. You can see that is our power cabinet. You see barely any wires.
Exactly.
Like we don't have any wires running around. Everything.
Well, the wires would all be in the back.
It's a harness like a vehicle. It's a cable harness that is built in, and we have minimized what we don't like wires. We don't like screws and connections.
Good.
So we have designed it to be serviceable. Everything has quick disconnect for the liquid paths, so you can just remove it. Even the cooling system. The whole top section, you see, that's where the air comes in on the top and exits at the back.
Right.
That's a wet zone. We don't even have a filter for it, so we don't have to service it at all. All the electronics is at the bottom cabinet, which is completely enclosed. On top of that, the modules are completely enclosed.
So do you have the liquid and you have the fans and whatnot. Do you have to go even further, maybe to AC, because air conditioning? Because at the end of the day, there's some super hot places on the planet, and everything's getting hotter around the world. So Saudi Arabia, I know that they have some serious issues with some of the charging systems because
They don't operate.
150 degrees Fahrenheit, we would never believe that they could get that hot, but
Right.
they're
So-
getting it.
Yeah, good question. So we are staying away from the kind of phase change cooling because it's just, that's a big failure point.
Right.
It's just a pain to deal with, putting gas, into the field, and they break all the time. So our liquid cooled system is exactly like a vehicle. You can see the pump on the right hand side.
Right,
The radiator and the fans are modular,
Yeah.
so you can see we can run with multiple. This is designed to run full power at 50 degrees C. And we can continue running all the way to 55 with very minor derating. And then derate after that. So we don't shut down unless something hits that we can't push any more power.
Yeah.
So we can continue pushing power until it's just not possible anymore.
Yeah,
So,
right. So we, one of the problems that we have up north in our area, and I don't know if you watched Out of Spec with Kyle, but we didn't. A lot of cold temperatures are a problem where we are, and minus 40 happens. So especially when you get to the northern states and Canada, for sure. So what's the ranges that these things can handle?
So we run from minus 40 to plus 50, and that is full power. And you can see the lab. Hopefully, after this, you're going to see our CPAT lab, where we actually test these in the chambers. We can operate from minus 40 to plus 50. We haven't had any problem.
I should tell the listeners that minus 40 for Fahrenheit or Celsius is the same.
The same. Yes.
50 is
About
120
125
degrees,
yeah.
120, 125 degrees Fahrenheit. So just to level up. Not many Americans don't speak metric. So so at the end of the day, this is about the same as what I would expect to see. A Phoenix test for a car is 120 degrees. So
Right.
same sort of atmosphere that you're looking
We
at.
put these in chambers for 48, 36 hours running at that power continuously. So even though a vehicle doesn't need that, but we have to do that kind of
It's the cycling that usually kills everything. That's what destroys those boxes.
Right. So again,
the
I think
cycling.
our kind of methodology of design is very modular. What we call everything is field replaceable unit. So as much as we can, we don't want any skilled, kind of technician to be required for a field repair. So they show up, they know what is wrong. They literally, even our boards, if you can see here, like this is our controller, main controller. It's a module. You unbolt it, bolt a new one. Our power path, this is pretty much now that we're talking about it, this is an industrial cell phone if you think about it. That has all sorts of connection, Ethernet, it has display obviously, wireless, Bluetooth, modems, antennas, everything is built into this. It's a cell phone, obviously industrial because it has to run at very high temperatures. And that's where the brain of the operation is. That's where our main software runs for interactions to the user and also to the vehicle.
Just let me do a little something here so that you can see that this has got an outside face right here. This is what you would be touching your credit card and whatnot too. So this is the interface to this particular unit.
Yeah, and then this is actually the module you can see. It's completely modular. It mounts into our AC product. Actually, that's the AC product that you saw outside is right in front of you right there. You can see that's actually, people are testing on it, but that's the same controller mounted there. It has its own built-in cooling system.
Yeah, it's a heat sink.
Yeah, no active cooling required.
Yeah.
And
so
that has RFID, everything. It has speakers, it has microphone, camera, built-in. It's pretty much a cell phone, but industrial, obviously.
yeah, obviously industrial. That's a lot larger. That's a big heat sink.
Yes.
Yeah, that wick it away good. And there's everything's air cooled. So nothing, no water or anything.
No water. Actually, this is designed to kind of, we have a module goes behind us, so even if water gets on it, it's
well, it wouldn't make any difference. This is all sealed up. There's no way. Yeah, so it's very good. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And by the way, just to let everybody at home know, this has got a skin on it. This isn't scratched up and horrible. It's just got a plastic
Yes.
skin to keep it from scratched up.
Scratched up. The other thing you can see, even our power path, for the 500 amp power path, you can see right there. So that's a module that includes all the safety, protection, isolation, monitoring, metering. So the 500 amp goes through that. It has built-in kind of features or functions that is required for a 500 amp operation. And the cable, you can see the cable is a bolt-on. This cable with a built-in electronics.
Let me do that again. Now we can see.
Yeah, the cable on the right-hand side, you can see that module gets bolt-on. It has a board in it with the LEDs that you can see. That so that cable and the board, which the smarts, comes off, and you bolt on any other cable you want, depending on your choice. So you can purchase pieces of equipment and later decide which site is going to get.
Well, serviceability is a big deal, and quite frankly, as you get better with whatever design you've got, it's always nice. Whoops, where'd you go? Yeah. It's always nice if you can make it so that you know, the upgrades don't mean that now I got to buy a whole new unit.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking at these connectors here and whatnot. From a safety standpoint or something like that, are these buses here where I see them bolted together? Does that have some pyrotechnic in it or something like that? What happens if you get an issue?
So we monitor temperatures on pretty much all the major connections, especially the customer connections, because we don't have that much of a control over that. Yeah. Once it leaves the factory, that's the part that has the most problems. So we have built-in temperature sensors, so we know if there's a loose connection. For the rest of the system, we have hundreds of sensors. All the critical components have sensors in them. We even have G sensor inside this. So if the truck hits this, I know which direction, how much force did it hit it with. We actually know, we can detect all of that. There is a lot of sensor and a lot of algorithm behind it for us to do.
So how do you shut it off? So say some clown, drunk, whatever, runs over one of these things, knocks it over. How do you shut?
So the power. So this talks to the power block.
Yeah.
So the source of power is not here. That's a good news.
Right. Yeah.
So that will lock that.
So you don't need a pyrotechnic, because if this gets whacked, shut it off. Okay, so that's fine. Yeah, you might get something for a nanosecond or something.
Actually, I wanted to show you. This is a simple kind of showing how the cable is modular. These are all of our designs, the connectors, everything. So you just have an Ethernet connection and the cable. You can change this in the field in like less than 10 minutes.
I bet.
Remove the helmet, put this on. It's just connectorized. You push it in and you bolt that top section of it and lay down. Obviously.
There we go. Oops. There.
So it's very simple to configure it for different customers based on their needs. You can see the built-in meter. This is a revenue grade meter that we have, complies with North American and European requirements. So there's no need to install a third-party meter in the product. It's already built into our circuitry.
Cool.
And any product you see here, we can install them in North America and Europe without any change. Only the cable type, obviously on the DC side, goes to CCS2. Right.
Yeah.
But it's the same product. It's designed to go for the DC product, from 360 to 540 volts. And on the AC product, we have the same product. Actually, this can operate single phase, 3-phase, North America or Europe. Same module. There's a configuration kit at the bottom, wiring changes.
Well, what you just said probably doesn't mean a hell of a lot to most people, but from an engineering standpoint, that's a big deal. That makes things, anytime you can get homologation between Europe, and even in Europe, that's a problem. But Europe, the United States, I'm assuming Japan and China as well?
We are not present in those markets, but yes.
Okay.
In theory, yes, it will work. Because that's somewhere in between and it's already covered here.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, absolutely. And that helps us with the SKU. We don't have that very many SKUs to build, right? So we have this minimum number of modules to manufacture. and configure them for different markets.
Right. So if we're looking at maybe North America and Europe, what other countries or what other areas are you incorporating? What about South America, the Middle East? What about that?
Right now, again, I think our focus is right now, obviously we have a big footprint in North America. We are increasing our footprint in Europe. Once that is settled, we are going to go to the next market. I don't know which one. Again, I don't know what our plans are exactly. Even if
I'd recommend Saudi Arabia, because quite frankly, they own Lucid, and they've got another vehicle that's, I don't know how much I can talk about, but they've got another vehicle that's coming out, and for a country that shells out a tremendous amount of oil products, they're definitely focused on electrification.
Yeah. I'm sure we have plans for countries, and Michael would be a better person to answer that.
Okay.
I'm on the engineering side, so as you can imagine.
Okay.
Yes.